Chiodo from St. Anthony's Catholic Church in Des Moines, Iowa. We read in Ephesians 5, Christ gave himself up for the church to make her holy. Christ handed himself over to us in order to sanctify us. It's very important for us to think about Christ handing himself over to us, because what Christ calls us to do is, in him handing himself over to us, he's asking us to hand ourselves over to him. And in no greater area can that be relevant than the area of anxiety. We all experience anxiety. There's no one who can escape it. Whether it's a financial crisis, a marital crisis, a relational problem, a medical report, whatever it might be, we all experience stress and anxiety on a regular basis. That is part and parcel of the human condition. Yet Christ did not leave us abandoned in dealing with our anxiety and the crises of our lives. He handed himself over to us so that we'd be empowered to deal and to cope with these, so that we do not surrender or to surrender to the crisis, or to be collapsed under the pressure and the weight of the burdens of life. Christ handed himself over to us in order for us to hand ourselves over to him and to be empowered. I was reading the other day a story about a woman who came to recognize the power of God. She had experienced a terrible crisis in her life. She had lost a member of her family in a horrible murder. And as a consequence of that, she was very much overwhelmed with depression. The stress was unbearable. Whenever she thought about her deceased relative, she would collapse under the emotional stress and anxiety and pressure. A friend of hers said, "I'd like you to meet a friend of mine. Come with me." And so she did, and the lady took her to church. And it was the Mass. And the woman said that it was a long time since she had been to Mass. And in the Mass itself, she came to experience the power of Christ in her life. Because what this woman said was that although she was surrounded in darkness, at the moment when the bread and wine were consecrated in the body and blood of Christ, when they were elevated before the congregation and the bells were rung, she said it was as if this dark cloud lifted. It was like a curtain had spread before her, opened up before her, and the light came through the curtain and penetrated her mind and heart. And she said she had felt peace like she had not felt in many, many months. The power of God through the Eucharist makes us allows us to surrender ourselves into the hands of God, who hands himself over to us in every Mass. Remember, Christ handed himself over to us in order for us to experience peace. And peace it is if we trust in him.